Hey, welcome to part 2. If there's background noise, I apologize. There's some work going on in the house, but I said I'd do this today. So, here we are in a fresh scene of Blender, and before we start, I'm going to say what we're doing. So in the last part, we were getting acquainted with user interface. We know what a lot of the different panels and menus and stuff are. In this section, we're going to be setting up this blueprint image as a background reference within our 3D view so that we know what we're going for here. This is the car we're going to be making. It's a Dodge Challenger. The download link will be in the description, hopefully, if I remember this time. And let's get started. So I'm actually going to just close the timeline again. If you call, just grab these diagonal lines, click and drag them over. And then I'm actually going to delete this camera and the lamp. So I'm going to right click our camera, click X to delete, and do the same for the lamp. Right click X, delete. And I'm going to start this. You don't have to do that. So now all we're left with is our default cube. And if you remember, there's this toolbar to the left that we have that's toggleable with T. And we also have the one to the right that's toggleable with N. So we're going to open up this properties panel on the right using N and scroll down to until you see background images and check that off. And then just bring down that. Going to go ahead and click Add, Open, and then just locate your saved image. Try to save it to a place where you know you'll keep it for the duration of the tutorial, because if you change the file path, you'll have to redo it. So just something to keep in mind. When looking up blueprints this is for future reference, but when looking up blueprints for whatever you want to make next, generally what I do is I just go to Google Images, and usually you're able to find something. It's not the highest quality, but you're usually able to find something that works, that's good enough for your intended purpose. So that's where I got this. It's good. Can go ahead and close that actually. Okay, background image. So once we opened that, we got all these different options and fun buttons to press. And we don't see our background images because we have to change a couple things. First of all, our axes is set to all views right now. We want to change that to our right view. That's the one I usually start with. And again, nothing shows up. That's because we're not in our right view. You are able to navigate around, rotate around your scene with your middle mouse button, but if you have a keyboard with a number pad, you're able to enter, you're able to click 1 for front view, 7 for top view, and 3 for your right view. So right now, we're in our right view. If you look up here to your top left, you see right perspective. Perspective is just a way to look at things, and background images do not show up in perspective mode. We want to toggle to orthographic view, which you do with 5 on your number pad. And once we click 5, I open the wrong image. Just going to open the right one actually. There we go. Pretend that didn't happen. So right now we're in our right orthographic view. The axis for our image is in the right, so that matches up, and we can see our image. So at the bottom of this background image panel tab thing, there are a couple different sliders and values. You can type specific numbers in, or you can just click in them and drag to move it around. These are all used to position your background image in your scene. So I'm going to center this background image along the different axes, or Z and Y. They're these blue and green lines you see. And if you hold down Shift while you're dragging in these sliders, it's a more smooth transition. So you can use that to just place these wheels on this Y-axis line, or however you say it. Now, one of the hard parts of blueprints is getting them lined up between the different views. And the default cube is actually perfect for this. So we're just going to go over some basic object editing skills that we're going to cover more in the next part, but just to get this cube in place. So I'm going to select this cube and just zoom in a little bit, and if we click G, we can move it. G is for grab. And while you're grabbing things, if you hold down Control, it snaps. If you see there's a faint gray lines in the background for a grid, that's what it snaps to. So we're just going to move this until this is along the same point as the wheels, and rotate a little bit around. Right now we're in object mode, and object mode allows us to move around entire objects. But here at the bottom of our 3D view we have this little menu bar thing, and you can see object mode. We want to click that and switch it to edit mode. Edit mode, it allows you to edit the individual vertices of a single object. So I'm going to select these 4 vertices that make up this front face, and you select multiple objects or vertices while holding Shift and right click. So I'm going to select that till the entire front face is selected. Go back to our right side view using 3, and then just use these green arrows to move this up to the front of the car. It is kind of blocking. You can switch from solid view to wireframe. It's the little button right next to edit in object mode, and that just allows you to see through objects, their wireframe. And what we're going to do now is just select this back face, repeat the process, and just drag it to the back of the car. And the top's not quite aligned, so we'll do that as well. Just holding Shift to select multiple objects. Perfect. If you click Tab, that toggles between edit mode and object mode. Blender does use a lot of shortcuts. You're not going to remember them all at first, but you get to them. Slowly but surely, you will figure out all of the shortcuts. So, this is pretty good. Our right side view is lined up. Now we're going to repeat the process for these 3 remaining views. Going to go back to our background images tab, minimize that, add in an image, and since we have already loaded our image into Blender, we can just select this drop down and choose your image. And we're going to get some overlapping because the axis is set to all views. We're going to go ahead and change that to our top view and click 7 to enter that. And it's not really aligned properly, so we're going to, again, go to this bottom little box here and use these different values to set this up correctly. This R value stands for rotate, so we're just going to type in -90 to get a precise rotation for that, and then just again use these sliders to line it up. I'm holding down Shift to get that smooth transition. And the entire point of the cube was to serve as a reference to line up these other views. And since our right view only accounts for the length and height, and our top view doesn't have height, we're only going by the length. We're not going to try to line it up from the width, which is what we're going to set up now. So I'm going to go ahead and stay in our top view actually, and scale our object, which is S. Right now we're changing the entire size of the thing, but we just want to change the width, and since width corresponds to our x-axis, we can click scale. Oh, and just so you know, if you right click while performing an action such as scale, it just cancels it. So to set the width for the car, we're going to scale and click X to lock to that axis. And just scale it to the width of the car. Just repeating the process for the next ones. Add image, open it. Let's go to our front view. One is for your front view. Just going to slide it into place. According to the cube. Add image, select it, and back. And since one is our front, we actually do Control 1 to get to our back. Control 3 will bring us to our left, and Control 7 will bring us to the bottom. It's just kind of control number pad, the opposite brings you to the opposite one. So Control 1 to go to the back view, and then just line it up. Looks pretty good. Just going to minimize all that. And that looks good. We have our right view lined up, we have our top view lined up, we have our front view lined up, and rear view lined up. We're all set. The blueprints aren't perfect, so even though we have them lined up pretty darn close, a lot of the lines aren't going to match up between views. That's just the blueprint. They're not perfect, so we're going to have to sort of eyeball it a little bit, but that is the point of reference pictures. So if you just go to Google and look up the thing you're modeling, this is the thing we're modeling. It gives you a more realistic view of what you're aiming for, rather than just this black and white, grayscale, whatever you want to call it, vector image. But these are good to have. You have 2 monitors, perfect. If you don't, just something nice to keep open while doing this. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this was explained already. And in the next part, we're going to start going into more detail about edit mode, some of the tools we use to create some car shapes. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next part. Okay, bye.